if Spot Up is going to be able to find what they need to take Dignitas to the bitter end and find the victory. Again, whoever loses this game is eliminated. Surprisingly so that Dignitas has found themselves in this position, but Spot Up has fought for it. Tom, Ryan, take us into this third map.
Oh, that is the third and final, the finale, to see who is going to be eliminated. Of course, both teams at this point have lost a couple of maps along the way, now got the victory under their belt as well. We will see whether or not there's going to be anything coming up for the side of Spot Up. They've not started too well. It's dephh once again. He had a fantastic map earlier when facing off against the Sentinels, Ryan, dropping 27 kills and losing the map.
Oderus has changed over from the Jett for the first time over to this Raze. But Tucker's been able to do quite a lot of damage. Not quite playing the double duelist that they had before. The breach is in play, and Oderus at least getting a nice little headshot in, but all he can realistically do. Look how low both players are for Spot Up. 1 health for Kanpeki. Even just a sliver of damage in from the aftershock is going to end him. And this is not an ideal scenario to be. If you're the defenders, you've got 2 people coming in behind you. Just up to Tucker, who's 5 health, can at least get 1, a third in total. But Dig on the attack, start off with that round win.
That's another thing that's always worth mentioning as well. Like we spoke about like which-sided this map can be. Well, the difference is a lot of this time you'll see very different compositions of agents on this map because teams will decide whether or not they're going to go to try and get as many rounds on the defense or if they're going to try and scrape through as many rounds as they can on the offense. So the differing compositions you'll get, I think on this map are actually the most varied. In fact, it's probably the only map we're ever going to see Viper coming on. It's the one that people have started to throw that in. I think it was Hazed has actually done it a few times recently. So it's a map that I think people are still definitely trying to work out the perfect comp for. And I quite like that, if anything. I don't like just seeing the same agents over and over again. To see people try different things on this map, as we have right now, it makes things more interesting.
The Killjoy versus the Cypher too. Dignitas opting to keep dephh on that agent. Why not? He's been exceptional really, and on the attack a lockdown could be a difference. But we are seeing Rustun move to the Cypher. More of a, I guess, conservative playstyle from Spot Up with their comp. There's certainly no triple duelist, so that's a better look for them. The breach has been in play quite a lot from Bunny. We're going to see him on it again, hopefully having some big impact. Rustun's sight is going to be hit towards A. Hiding towards the cyber cage. It's going to be missed, but just runs right into Superman Spectres. A couple of kills that Dignitas are able to get. It's a full 5 members of Dignitas versus the 1 of Spot Up.
Yeah, I think if he manages to win this one, I'll probably leave as well. And I think at that point, Dig should probably just give up on the map because they ain't coming back from that. Then again, if he went for a sneaky defuse, I would be very surprised though. You can see that they're still keeping an eye on it and
flawless.
Actually could work out, but there you go. Sam is just gonna stick around. I was getting a little bit worried. I was like, am I gonna have to leave? But thankfully Dignitas are not gonna let that slip.
The full buy is going to come through from Spot Up on this defense. Like we mentioned before, if you see Dignitas holding a 5-0 lead, for example, on this attack, that doesn't bode well for Spot Up. Not by any stretch. So Dig, going to try and keep this momentum going. Oderus has been flawless so far, hasn't died yet alongside with dephh, but has double the kills. Whereas for 4 members of Spot Up, they haven't got off the board yet. So that's not a good look. They're hoping to do that at least. Straightforward setup and a nice little fault line to begin with from Bunny. But this is a lot of space that Dig can take. There's not much utility to stop them pushing on through. So it requires a lot of bodies from their defenders to just keep an eye on this. And it's not much pressure at least coming out from Dignitas just yet.
But this is one of the maps where we have seen that sort of popular Jett dash combo from both Mixwell and Wardell specifically when it came to that middle control. I am liking, though, the utilization of Raze a little bit more. Although it was normally in that comp together, like Artist actually switched over quite a bit when it came to G2 style of play. This is going to be aggressive, though. Bear in mind, again, this is one of those rounds where they are using it as a bit of bonus. If Dignitas managed to win this one, we would worry quite a bit for Spot Up, and it is going very well indeed. 2 players held on the other side of the map. Son's on the ladder. What? I thought the whole point of that was it wasn't meant to be that accurate anymore. He goes up the rope, gets the headshot anyway, and the remaining two players have just got to try and hold on to their weaponry.
They've been here the whole time. It's just been some really good work from Oderus to just put pressure on him. He's sat back, he's happy. He's done his job. And he will continue to do this on this attack, just putting pressure onto Ramp, keeping the bodies spot up to respect him, really. But Bunny, at least, can damage the economy a little bit more for Dignitas. It's not really a chance for them to go for a full retake with how far away they are. But at least getting 2 kills onto Dignitas keeps them within check, and that was pretty much the win condition before on Haven, and it didn't bode well for them there either. Dignitas are hoping to win this game. It would be great if they could stay within the tournament, but more so that they don't get knocked out by a team like Spotter. That certainly wouldn't be a good look for them at this point. And it seems that another half buy at most is coming in from Spotter. On the defender side, it's not going well so far, though.
Yeah, definitely not the start they were looking for. And the problem being here is, as said, that was a round where Dignitas still had all of their bonus weaponry invested. Now the buy that's coming up for Spot Up is almost like a bonus round, but, well, they're not getting anything extra if they win. They just have to try and get themselves back into this one, because you don't want to be looking at a 4-0 deficit, whether or not you still think there's opportunities on the attacking side. We are going to see some early control being gathered again. Oderus has been a real nuisance so far. Position looking to be clear, but there has been a paranoia, and Kanpeki will be able to escape. Unfortunately, his teammate not quite so lucky. And the push from Psalms continuing, even while blind, though.
5 health.
Kanpeki will be able to get the kill just.
They have been so good putting pressure in multiple areas of the map. Very hard to do on split, but they are going to be breaking through to A with the majority of the defenders moving from the site. The tripwire is going to pull them back a little bit, though. But it's more of a bait. They are very much ready to hit onto this B site with this amount of heaven control. Sure, you've got Tucker there waiting, and we do see the camera giving a bit of intel, but doesn't have any utility to stop them. This bot line's going to stun him. Hasn't been overrun, but that was an opportunity for Dignitas to punish Spotter just a little bit more. But they're hanging on by a thread.
30 seconds left.
Awkward luck for them. But they're able to do quite a little bit of damage with 2 kills. MAKKA, though, brings it to a 2 versus 2. And Tucker's showstopper gets absolutely nothing. All up for Figment to get a play. He's low health. Luckily, so is Oderus, who he gets a frag onto. Now it's just going to be MAKKA, who has been so good on the silver. He's 2 health. They're going to run into each other on this corner, and Figment actually gets it with a headshot too. Didn't matter if he was 2 health, 20, or even 102. Nice frag for Spot Up to get him off the board, but man, these rounds are getting so close.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Like, that was one where I think the counter utility that was expended by Rustun does a very good job. He may not get a kill, but just the cages deny for so long. And the crossfire that was held from Spot Up on the side, very, very good. Bear in mind, one of those players only had 5 HP going into the duels. So they've managed to come out on top. Of course, the money that was saved up over the last few rounds from Dignitas will bail them out of this round. However, it means the purchase they're coming up against, well, it's a slightly better one. It's almost exactly the same, but the difference being they now have an operator.
Cover going out. Shadows.
Other things that Dignitas can use, though. Money's been fine. They've won 3 rounds in a row. They've got a little bit of buffer to work with, and a showstopper. So this is looking to be a mean execute onto the site. Yep, truck's going to be used to clear that corner. The flash is coming through, and it's a high dunk from Oderus onto Rustun. Nobody else is on the site other than the camera, which is obviously going to be useless. This rotation is going to be slow. They don't really have too much over the Kanpeki with a Blade Storm and an operator. And Tucker's found something, at least towards A ramp. A lot of pressure put towards this point, and Bunny's able to get quite a lot of work done. One more frag is a Rolling Thunder, might not necessarily need it, and Kanpeki's brought out the Blade Storm. It's 4 versus 2.
So much invested into this round, they now have to take it away, but Super doing a good job at the back of the site. He's going to get his 2nd kill, but it will be Bunny to close. Fantastic retake, because I'll be honest, going into the initial stages of the round, I was quite surprised that, well, they basically just had 1 player there. The second that player was dead, that was it. There was no more site defense. They were fully invested into the retake, but the ground that was gained by Dignitas, it didn't really seem to be utilized too well. They didn't really hold on to any of the positions back towards the spawn. They didn't take any aggression when it came further forward in towards A. And because of that, they eventually just got pincered, and, well, Bunny obviously hitting some nice little headshots on his way back through.
Yeah, really nice read, I suppose, from Spot Up to take a ramp control. The majority of the kills onto Dignitas came from there. Bit more of a split, still away from Dignitas. Money is still good, they're happy. Rolling Thunder's available for this defense. They've changed up the Cypher over to B. More impact there. Rustun just got ran over with all of the utility used. It was a good read. Kanpeki's fully flashed. He's in such an awkward spot, and I think Dignitas know he's there. Such a deep punish from Super. It's the shame of it being in mid, though, that they can't really use it to teeter a sight, so they're just going to let Spot Up stew. They haven't changed up their positioning. Good placement across the map, really, but it is forcing the rest of Spot Up to play a little bit more aggressively. dephh easily could have punished Rustun with that peek there.
Dig are going to start clearing out a lot of positions in mid. In the meantime, they look to try and put pressure back into B. There's not a lot of information at the moment for the defensive side, and Oderus in this spot is going to make things very awkward for them when they do go for the push. We can see from the shadows into the back of the site as they go
30 seconds left.
This could be a big lurk, though. I really like the positioning of Oderus. He's been there the whole time. Tucker's expecting it, though. Smart play from him, but he doesn't win the duel. Oderus gets a nice flick headshot in, and he's just going to be more of a nuisance. It's just going to be Rustun now. You know, at least get a frag onto a weakened Oderus, but he shouldn't have needed to take that fight. That really should have been Tucker's to keep a hold on it. Really nice play from Dignitas. Totally different from the last execute, right? That was full power. Eventually hits the shot. Luckily, he was lurking in a crazy position, but that could have been awkward. But Dignitas showing different reads, a bigger playbook on this map than I maybe would have given him credit for. Worked out so well against Spot Up here.
Yeah, this is not the greatest position for them now. They managed to get at least a couple of rounds in a row, but they were relatively close within the retake. Not too many players surviving, and because of that, we now sit in a position where they aren't going to have pistols in this round. A chance for Dignitas to really extend their lead. And we mentioned, like, if you're looking at, like, 5-6 rounds on the attacking side, you're in pretty good shape. Now, 5 can be almost guaranteed with only 2 on the other side for their opponent. Well,
Placing alarm bot.
I'm going to see a little bit of aggression coming out from dephh. You can see them in pretty much just a default setup, just waiting for anybody to try and push them, expecting the defensive side to try and make a play.
The rotations come in. All it is a couple of nano swarms, and dephh just being a pain in the backside. Dignitas have a bit more of an opening in mid, to be honest. And they're ready to sort of heed into the stack that's coming their way. It's interesting, really, how both teams have read such an innocuous little bit of play at this point, but, you know, if you are Spot Up with this kind of buy, with stuff like Frenzies, you need to gamble stack. And I think they've gambled correctly. They could get an easy kill head. The lockdown's going to go down into B main. Figment wanted to go with the paranoia at least, but they have to time it right with the guns that they have.
30 seconds left.
Paranoia is nigh on perfect, and Tucker does at least manage to take one with him. The problem being, though, out of the sight, at least for the moment. Stack was almost pushed into. Bunny takes another one down. They're at least making this one a bit more costly for Dignitas. The question is, can the remaining 2 players pull off a miracle?
One
I'd be very surprised if they get anything done here in dephh. He's just farming up those eco frags. 4 kills for him once again. Another multi-frag round in this series. And more importantly, there is that 5th round. Now, it came at a cost. They did use an ultimate just to make sure it went through, but realistically, it's worth it. You're on the attacking side, get all the rounds you can get.
They have a rolling thunder to go again, too. And dephh has just been so... He's 4-7 to having another lockdown. He just used it. He did this as well on Ascend. I don't really think there's been many players that have been so good at using an ultimate and then being able to farm up another one. Well, I think with the patch 1.11, we could see a lot more Killjoy. Certainly worth bearing in mind. Good luck from Dignitas. It's been few and far between today. It's not been the best of days that they've had, but they're enjoying things at the moment. Kanpeki, not for the first time tonight at least, caught out aggressively peeking with that operator and provides Dignitas a bit of an opening on a key round.
I really love the Oderus Psalm like duo taken towards the A site. They've come in as a tag team, and it just seems to be so deadly every time they go. Sure, they lose a player elsewhere, but it doesn't seem to matter. This man likes to pick up the operator at times, but his rifling has been superb so far in this map. He will eventually fall, which gives some space for the defensive side, and they've managed these retakes before. However, this one's not going to be easy. They've already lost a lot of HP onto Tucker, who will eventually fall to death. And this time they do. He claimed quite a bit of ground. The flash is nigh on perfect as well. And it comes on to just one, and they've spotted him out as well. The Cypher, normally there to defend at the beginning, this time was on the other side of the map, tries to challenge, but MAKKA is there to close things out. 6-2, a half guaranteed almost for Dignitas. And unfortunately, once again, the money just isn't really there for spot up.
I feel that there is a very real risk that this could be a 10-2 half Dignitas. And like we mentioned before, a lot of people, it's defended sided. It's just more this momentum that teams can pick up on. And yeah, sure, the majority of these rounds in a row are going to be defenders sided for split, of course. But Dignitas showing that they're able to keep up that economy. They're good for the rest of this half. Even if they lose the next 4 rounds, they can still keep buying up, which is something that Spot Up can't even do on this round. They have a Rolling Thunder, they have a Showstopper, but do you realistically use them on maps, or rounds at least, where you don't have the guns to follow up on them? Not likely. Dignitas are sitting pretty right now, and looking good within each round that they're playing.
Well, you mentioned as well, like, the lockdown that they used a couple of rounds ago. It's back.
He's got it again.
It's already back in play, so
don't talk about a second lockdown,
farming
please.
things up. It's already happening. But there are some counter. I think it will only be utilized if there's a full rush in a specific direction. Now, they will be able to see at the back of the site. This doesn't clear absolutely everything, and actually, they're going to invest 2 ultimates here. Quite an expensive round already for Dignitas, especially with what's currently invested, and I'll be honest, they really don't get much for that whatsoever. Instead, though, the Spike was actually taking a huge risk going back in the other direction. Psalm falls, and he's alone.
30 seconds
and
left.
the full rotations come in. However, dephh, this could be spicy. If he gets the timing right, he could get both frags, and now it doesn't even matter. It's the same situation again, where this man just seems to farm up frags the second he uses an ultimate. It's almost like it's some sort of power-up at this point. He's not even using it to try and clear the space. It just buffs his strength, and he clears out everyone else. Another 4K straight after using the ult for dephh. And I don't know, is there some sort of hidden ability I didn't know about, Ryan? Because it just seems to make his aim almost godlike the second he does it.
The Riot devs are sat there going, write this down, write this down. We should probably look at this, because he's halfway to having a 3rd lockdown. You're looking for a new Sentinel main, by the way. I definitely would recommend Killjoy going into future patches. 13-3. Spot could risk just not only going out the tournament, but embarrassing themselves. They've been so good to show us that they are a team worthy of being in this position, but this is not a good look. At least they can get a kill onto dephh at this point, but Kanpeki has not been good on split so far.
Yeah, it's been a lot of the battles that we've seen elsewhere for him that haven't been working out. He's been trying to fight off against Oderus and Psalm as well, and there is that duo. This time, Psalm's the one to get the opening pick, but they have been terrifying every time they go into the A tower, and it just continues. He gets one with the boom bot, a second kill finished off while peeking the other angle, and you almost have to just feel for them at this point. On the other side of the map, just sat there, Tucker going, what on earth just happened? We got the opener, and then from then onwards, it was just absolute slaughter.
It might not be done yet either. He's gonna run into his Raze counterpart, and Oderus, not too sure what he was sort of specifically checking for, but He has been a monster. Everybody from Dignitas is now showing that, you know, they're not going to go out this tournament without a fight at this point. Tucker at least is going to be doing a little bit more damage to Dignitas, but their economy is sound. You don't need to worry about that at this point, Spot Up. Focus on your own. This is looking damning for them on the side that they should be doing better on, certainly on Split.
Yeah, no, this is devastating, I think, for Spot Up. Like I'd sort of mentioned, I saw a turning point in the last map where it just seemed like all the wind was just blown out of their sails. They never really got rolling from that point onwards. Unfortunately, in this map, that was the whole map. Like they've just been brewing. There's been a trifecta of death, with death leading the charge, but in a lot of cases, Sam and Oderus have just been fantastic, and that's what you want to be seeing, realistically. If you have a Raze and a Reyna on the same squad, they have to be popping off, they have to be putting up numbers, and they have been, and on the attacking side as well. It is going to be a straight-up B hit. Again, deph's going to be leading the charge, playing that almost entry fragger role here. Oh, there's been ults expended. It's a chance for Tucker to do some damage, and it looks like they're going to have a third at least. Last man standing, Oderus. He's been superb so far, I have to admit, but this has to be a bridge too far. This has to be a moment for Spot Up where they step up. More importantly, kill this man without losing too many members.
Outrun me?
Checking for a Cypher camera, I think, up there. Wasn't expecting the Jett to be holding with that ultimate last round this half. Spot Up, the ideal scenario is to be 4-8. They do actually use the Rolling Thunder. Bunny's been set on that for quite some time. And Tucker top fragging for his team by not a huge margin. Good to go for another showstopper. Dignitas, when it comes to ultimates, there's not really going to be much online unless dephh has another multi-kill and we see lockdown number 3. But other than that, it's just going to be the Empress and the From the Shadows for Sam and Supper. And they will be happy to go 9-3 up in halftime. The ideal scenario, and that's a great start from Sup, at least, to keep things somewhat competitive.
Satchel out.
And the problem is the amount of control that's been gained elsewhere could become a bit of a problem for them. The flank, however, coming through the ropes could actually make things a little bit more interesting. A free kill for Kanpeki. Now they have to turn around, and finally we see a clean round coming up from Spot Up. It took them a long time to get themselves back up onto this board. In fact, it was a 5-round streak on the offense for Dignitas, and they have set themselves up perfectly. But hey, anything that you can do, I guess we can do better. Has to be the attitude that Spot Up have.
Well, let's have a look over the half with the help of GoPuff to see exactly what went wrong in some cases for Spot Up. Don't necessarily think that they're out of it just yet, as much as it's not almost an embarrassing scoreline to have a halftime. Mostly is just the play from Oderus. Everybody in Dignitas showing that they're solid on these agents. And really, when it comes to highlights for Spot Up, that's seemingly all there seem to be. Just a couple of rounds here or there. This pistol round is the biggest pistol round for Spot Up so far, at least. They're going to be hitting A hard in a typical andbox style, at least. But dephh gets that first kill.
Yeah, the fault line slowed them down so much, but it didn't give enough time for dephh to properly rotate into the side. They've still got to clear MAKKA, but they will. However, the trade thick and fast from Oderus. It is going to be a spike plant. 3v3 situation, and not the amount of utility they'd hoped for. They do still have a paranoia. They've got to be careful of the close player in the form of Tucker, but his position's been given up, and now he's left completely blind. He needs a teammate to defend him, and unfortunately, the timing couldn't be worse. They managed to pick off Rustun, and Tucker is left on just 37 HP. He's managed to get himself a little bit further forward. Figment has to go ham here. He needs, at minimum, a kill. It's not going fantastically well. He finally picks off one, but the diffuser was begun, and Oderus can finish it off after finishing Figment. It will be a 9th, unfortunately, and, well, really, that should lead towards the end of the map. I almost wonder, Ryan, if we might see a force here from Spot Up just to try and give themselves a better chance of fighting back into this one.
My menu seems to have a little bit of dust on it, but eventually Bunny does pick up the ghost potentially. It's a big call, to be honest, at this point. Dignitas probably would have been happy to give it away if it was the other way around, but seems that it's going to be a bit of a faster B hit. Take some of these guns out of Dignitas' hands, at least that would be the hope. Very early aggression coming in, but the boom bot actually gets the kill onto Bunny. Oderus has mid in lockdown at this point. B site is being hit. The issue is there's no spike. Cypher's got a keen eye.
One player remaining.
Okay.
Flawless.
It must be nice having Oderus as a teammate. Just has your back in all of those scenarios, and this is a round that's fairly important for Dignitas to keep nice and clean. Of course, they do have a big advantage, but, well, they're going to have 5 Spectres going into the next round, and I'm interested to see what teams opt to try and do in these sort of rounds. Like, what is your plan to utilize these SMGs as well as your opponents are going to fight with the rifles? And by the looks of it, we might get a little bit of mid-aggression once again, because they've already got 4 players surrounding that area. However, the attackers, slightly different idea, Ryan.
It's going to be another fast A hit. I like the Killjoy's utility, just to keep an eye from screens. Not risking anybody, at least at this point. The fault line is a good one to keep them at bay for now. But it's whether they break through at this point. They're starting to go through. A really important push for them to win. And that pick up the death is a huge one. But Dignitas going for this retake, despite getting planted, is good. But took a nice lurk. Catches sound pushing through B main.
Spike planted.
But better look. That's a really, actually strong blast pack, paint shell from Oderus that catches off Spot Up and puts him in a really awkward spot. These post-plant positions aren't good for the attackers at this point. So they need to play aggressively and they run right into Super.
Looked like he was completely blind. He's going to be able to retrieve the rifle, and a bit of a risky peek from Kanpeki, but he gets the kill onto Oderus. MAKKA has found one more. Now, even just making this costly is hugely valuable for the side of Dig. They'll have a purchase into the next round anyway. They may be able to steal this one away. However, Figment's peek is enough to end this round. But MAKKA, he's just trying to make it costly, as said. Only 2 will survive, and Dig have plenty of rounds, but more importantly, they're going to have plenty of cash.
The big difference, really, from Dig winning the round prior. It was into an eco for Spot Up, but he did it flawlessly. For Sup, even on a round like that, where they took first blood, got the plant in pretty seamlessly, it still came down to 2 players, and it's just those beatings that Spot Up has been taking, not only from Dignitas, but from the whole day with teams like Envy. They've just been taking a hammering from some of these more experienced squads. But they're still here. The showstopper, though, is wanting to put that to bed. It misses, but it still gets a kill onto Kanpeki that has to play and dash a little bit more aggressively just to survive. I like the idea, but much like a lot of plays for Kanpeki, it's not gone well. MAKKA just gets the straightforward spray onto Bunny. Spot Up, picking up a bit of momentum with that last round win, is not looking to continue it here.
Yeah, that was the bonus round as well for Dig, so they're in a perfect position to just break straight back. The paranoia, they can't even push off that. I'm not sure if the timing was a little bit off, but the nano swarm just leaves us that they can't do anything. Nice paint shell at least, but dephh still gets the kill. And they are falling flat. This combo again in the heavens is sending them to hell, but Figment's managed to find 3 kills in the space of a second. I don't know if he'll expect the push, and well, it doesn't matter. 11 to 5, it's a little bit more costly, but realistically the main problem now is that Spot Up probably not going to have enough cash to buy properly.
1 round out of 4 on this attacking side. We knew it was going to be tricky. Dignitas looking good right now. Was a bit of a worrying spot to be in, to go to this 3rd map. To go down 1-0 on Ascent against Spot Up, who haven't really shown their true potential at that point in this tournament. We have seen it, as well as some mistakes that they can easily fix going into the other qualifiers coming up with UMG. That's certainly an aim for them. But Dignitas, their aim is to qualify. Their aim is to sort of get through all of this. Can't get one, though. Nice aggression coming out of Rustun and the rest of Spot Up. Breaking through to male deph's nice position, and he has been sublime so far. Kanpeki is going to make sure that he can't get too much done. Super's on the back of the site. making sure that it's going to, again, be costly for Spot Up even before they get the spike planted. And Oderus gets another to 3v3.
Ooh. Straight through the cage, and things are starting to become really problematic. This was a round that looked like it was sealed for Spot Up, and instead Dig have fought back tooth and nail. And the timing here could be everything. Oderus is caught with his blade out. Leaves things back. Now Kanpeki knows that in this sort of scenario he needs to be on go big. His teammates low and the timing looked good, but they don't find the kills. It's Super with a triple and an easy defusal in the end. Plenty of time left on the clock. It will be a 12th now in favor of Dig. They have 7 opportunities to take this one home, to send Spot Up out of the competition. And I'll be honest, it's what we expected going into the match. But after map number 1, we hoped for a little bit more. And I'll be honest, one of the main things I want to see changed, I don't want to see Rustun playing Cypher. I think he's just such a good Killjoy. I get why he changed. I think a lot of people do play Cypher on this map, but I just want to see him comfortable and playing at the best of his ability, because this map he's been missing.
I think one thing that we can take away from this with Dignitas is Oderus is such a nice addition to this roster.
Yeah.
Poised and Shanks had big boots to fill. And Oderus has seemed to do a good job of it so far. It's going to be trying to face aggressively.
What?
The fact that he gets 1 is impressive. Sam could at least double up the kills in his 4 versus 3. There's really a neural theft only to work with on this attack. As the From the Shadows gets used from Figment to take a more aggressive position. Good stuff at least. Now the rolling thunder is going to be used on the defense to sort of break this up a little bit more. MAKKA can get 1. It's a 2 versus 2. Now dephh on the high ground. Probably going to wait for this fight to get planted, but his position given up by the neural theft. They know that he's in danger. The position, not the actual threat, but that's also not a nice predicament to be in either. Going to be holding close again. They're lining up a little bit. That was worrying from Spot Up at that point. But they take the round. Yet again, only 2 people surviving. Dignitas have so much to work with here. Apart from money,
the weird thing as well is that it seems to be over the last couple of rounds that the team that had the inherent advantage at the beginning let it slip. And again, it's a fight back this time for Spot Up. And as you mentioned, money now becomes a bit of an issue for Dignitas. Now, it's only for 1 round. But it's a chance, at least for Spot Up, to earn a little bit of extra cash themselves, maybe gain some confidence. But they do still have to be careful, because I think we're seeing confident players coming out from Dig in this sort of situation.
They don't have guns, but they have a lot of ultimates. And there was a lot of pings on the map. Oderus as the showstopper. All stacking in that direction. Ooh, Spot Up, they are doing the right thing, I suppose, by working the flanks at this point. Man, watching that play from Kanpeki before where he dashed from heaven onto site, I'm still scratching my head at that one. I get the whole dashing to almost be a decoy at that point, but I liked his position on the high ground. It would be a great time for him to show up and have more impact, because he's been great across the series, but not so much on split at this point. It's pretty much been Oderus, the only flanker that's been certainly worth keeping an eye on when it comes to the impact that he's been having. But even now, Spot Up are playing up against an eco with Dignitas. The site is open on A, and they're so scared. Now they're pushing through in the typical execute that we're expecting. You can see how it all comes to be, at least. But it's all for naught as Dignitas are playing completely off the site, and they have a lot of ultimates to use.
30 seconds left. Spike planted.
It's going to be rough for Dig to get anything done, and in fact, there is Rustun. Normally does do quite well on the attacking side. He had a rough defense. But it's looking a little bit better for him here. And if he could rise to the occasion, maybe they can somehow bring these rounds back. They do keep it flawless as well. That's exactly what they're looking for in these anti-eco rounds. I said, some confidence building. Maybe getting the rust off after the last few rounds and after the last half as well. The fact is, this is where things get tough again, because it's a full investment. We have rifles on every single player. You've been mentioning the ultimates over the last couple of rounds. Well, they have 4 of them. And if they use all 4 of them in 1 round, you kind of expect them to win that round.
Spot Up just want anybody at this point to become a hero. There's a lot of... not really many kills between them, but another execute coming in. Oderus still bringing out the showstopper. Doesn't see too much because of the flashes, and is lucky, really, that nobody from Spot Up died in that scenario. Kanpeki gets 2. much better. Good execute really at this point. And good idea from Tucker. Someone's going to be pretty mad at that. dephh tried to make some play. That is a big round for Spot Up to win. And really, Dignitas using a couple of ultimates at least. Didn't use everything, which is key.
One thing that is in play is that Empress. If Sam somehow managed to steal this, I'd be very impressed, but realistically it should be done at this stage, and while Tucker gets the timing just right to pick off that kill. 12-8. The grind back continues. The long road uphill carries on as they get 3 rounds in a row now. And more importantly, again, it's only going to be pistols available for Dignitas. Great round from Kanpeki as well, because he manages to dodge out the way of the showstopper and then get a double entry into the site. So much so that Tucker then gets that sort of freebie fluke kill straight through the dark cover. But nonetheless, it was those openers that gave them the round.
It comes down to a little bit of luck. I'm sure Spot Up won't care at this point. Reaching a real crescendo. I'm so happy this game has gone as close as it has as a neutral. We've had a lot of blowouts to cast, to be honest, Tom, so I'm glad that we got this absolute beaut to finish on for us to at least casting. But Figment is trying to hold on strong. Tucker gets a nice kill onto Supper. Buy isn't going to be big, but dephh still gets one. All of this matters. If he can get another, it could have been likely, but Figment just has the better gun in that scenario. Dig just pushing through mid. Best getting one at this point, and the positioning from Dignitas is pretty much all over the spot, but I do respect still Spot Up and letting this go. They have certainly grown and adapted and matured even through this series. They know they're going up against the deco, that's quite likely, but they're still flashing and playing like every map is a full buy because they have no room for mistakes. Nice execution. Dropped.
Yeah, I like the fact that in this round as well, they've grouped up. Like, they have decided, like, in the earlier portions of the round, they were more split, and then the second it gets to the latter stages, they're like, okay, we're up against pistols, we've got an advantage, let's just go together, roll together, and make sure that we trade out all of those kills. A smart way to play against anti-ecos, especially ones who already have an advantage. For Sam, though, he's found a gun. It's something free for the next round, something he won't have to purchase, and maybe gets them an extra buy or two in the future. The thing is, though, this is now coming to the crunch. This is problematic for Dignitas because the momentum is firmly in Spot Up's favor, and sure, they're right on the brink of destruction, but if anything, it seems like a lot of teams like maybe get ahead of themselves a little bit, or the jitters start to sneak in when they do get to that map and series point. For Dignitas being a relatively new roster coming into this, I am starting to wonder if that pressure's starting to get to them.
We've been treating this like Dignitas is above Spot Up in some cases, I feel. With an 8-4 attacking half for Dignitas. We're certainly leaning that way, but Dignitas in this tournament have not had the best opportunities to shine in some cases. It's been great for Oderus so far, but you're still looking at players like MAKKA, who's not had much of the impact on the breach. Very close to having a rolling thunder. That's going to be pivotal for deph's lockdown. He's playing very far back. Another execution has been fairly decent from Spot Up. But the operator's in play from dephh. He's actually good for one, getting the kill onto Tucker. Kanpeki's going to try and avenge him, closing that distance, but he does get caught out by Supper. It's a 5 versus 3. The rolling thunder's available on the attack, but that lockdown's looking to get planted by dephh.
Spike planted.
This could be the beginning of the end. Spot Up needs to put everything they can into this round, and well, it starts off with the rolling thunder. However, it's actually the denial coming in, and MAKKA manages to pick up 2. Some great positioning of the nano swarm, and now Rustun has to try and kill everybody, and he will not be able to. Dignitas are going to carry on in this tournament. They will face off against the likes of either MB or Sentinels. And unfortunately for Spot Up, it was a valiant effort. It was a real fight for them in this series, but they are out.
And I think they can leave with their heads held high, to be honest. I watched the game before with Envy. I heard Lex and Vansilli talking about how great it was for Spot Up to be here, but after that performance, there could be question marks like, do they deserve to, with other teams like Immortals and Box, even FaZe, Cloud9 White not getting through? But I do think Spot Up not only proved that they deserve to